Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Town Council for the Town of Southern Shores. It is the first day of October in the year of 2024. So we're very glad that you're all here with us tonight. We'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks very much. We'll have a moment of silence. Thank you. Council, there's an agenda presented to us. Does anyone have any amendments, or can we entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you. We have a consent agenda that it consists of the approval of annual reconstruction task force members. That's the next page in your book. I believe they are the same task force members that they've always been in terms of their roles. The second is a budget amendment as regards to the cemetery improvements. And I'm just going to very quickly list them off here. We have new benches. We have a new driveway proposed. We have a new sign. We want to extend the fence on the north side, sort of patch the gap there. We're going to put some money into plantings and also software upgrade. So that is the consent agenda. Council, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Consent agenda is approved. Great, thank you. Now we're on to our presentations for this evening. We're very glad to have our audit team here with us tonight. Is Bonnie going to introduce our auditor? Okay, what do you want to do? I'm going to make you come to the microphone, Bonnie.
And he drove all the way from New Bern to come and do our presentation. But this is Reed. He, along with Madonna, did our audit this year. And they are with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram in New Bern. And he is going to give you the results of our audit that ended June 30, 2024.
Very good. Thanks, Bonnie. Welcome, Reed. We're glad you're here.
Welcome. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. As Bonnie mentioned, I work on governmental audits. That's what I do full-time. 98% of my time is working on governmental audits. I do have two nonprofits that I work on, but I'm really involved in governmental audits full-time, year-round with our firm. So again, I'm glad to be here tonight to talk about the audit and what we did and how we came to our conclusions. I always like to start our presentation by talking about what we're mainly hired to do, and that's offer an opinion on the financial statements. So in your book, probably, I want to say about 3 pages in, you're going to see a letter titled The Independent Auditor's Report. And the very first paragraph in that letter talks about our opinion. And that says, in our opinion, the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. So what that means is when we got finished looking at balances, transactions, disclosures, everything related to the audit, it appeared to be presented correctly, and we had no issues to discuss related to the financial statements. We're not required to look at internal controls while we're out here, but we always do because we think it's very important to, if there's an internal control issue, to bring it to governance and let them know. I'm glad to say that as we looked at internal controls, we did not have any issues that we feel like we need to present to the board tonight. We are looking for internal controls. We're looking at monthly credit card statements, making sure there's no misappropriations using credit cards. We're looking at expenses. We're looking at capital outlay. Again, making sure those controls are in place. We like to use the words, two types of controls, a preventive control and a detective control. So if something does slip back, it can be detected, but there's also a control to prevent it from happening in the first place. And again, glad to say that we did not find any breakdown in the internal control system. Last year, if you recall, we had a single audit that we also presented related to the beach nourishment project. No single audit this year, so that's a little bit easier on our side and not the requirement to report back to the state or the federal government related to that single audit. That's kind of again, what we're doing and what we're presenting to you as an opinion. I did want to hit some of the financial highlights. As I go through this, please interrupt me if you have questions. It's not going to bother me a bit in the world. I'll try to answer them here standing up. If I can, I will certainly get an answer back to you. But at the end of the year, at 6/30/24, net position closed at $26,605,042. That was a decrease in the net position of about $856,643. That net position decrease, but that biggest driver for that decrease was your depreciation expense. As I mentioned, you put an $11.6 million beach nourishment project on the books last year at a 5-year useful life. You're looking at $2.3 million of depreciation over the next 5 years. So that's gonna hit that net position over the next year as that depreciates down, because those beach nourishment projects don't have a 30-year useful life, as I'm sure y'all are aware. So that was the biggest driver in driving down that net position. You're still seeing slight increases in property taxes and sales and use tax. A big driver this year is investment earnings. Investment earnings went from about $480,000, about $659,000 this year. So a big increase in some investment earnings. But again, that driver to bring that net position down was the depreciation expense. Your general fund balance, this is your main kind of operating account, closed out at $15,593,929. That was an increase of $195,000. In that increase, the general fund does not include your depreciation expense. So that's where you're seeing some of those income moving that general fund balance upwards. Again, with the biggest driver in that being that investment earnings. Your unassigned general fund balance, this is the key indicator, really the key indicator that the state looks at as an ability to pay your bills. The unassigned fund balance at year end was $5,514,631. As y'all are well aware, the town has a $3.5 million kind of where you want your fund balance to be, or minimum fund balance policy. So you're well above that number, which is good. And that represents about 54% of your general fund expenditures for the year. And when the state kind of does their calculation of available fund balance in total, it comes up to about 111% of your general fund expenditures. And they look at they classify as similar units. They wanted to see that number at 44%. So you're at 111%. Y'all are well above that number. And what that number really indicates is, again, and I always make this analogy, and with what's happening in Western North Carolina, it's kind of, applicable, but also sad. We're one tropical storm or one hurricane event away from an extraordinary event happening, and you have to have those extra funds. And again, the town is in good shape to have those funds if something extraordinary happens. Hopefully, again, with what's going on, we certainly don't want to see that ever. But again, you're in good shape if it does. You have those funds to meet those needs. Again, those are the highlights at a high level. If you have questions or if you want me to dive into something else, I can certainly try, but I'm available for questions if you have any.
Any questions for Reed, council? I think those are good numbers that we all like to hear. So thank you. We appreciate it.
Again, I always we do a lot of these, and I want to just make sure I point out how great the staff is to work with. When we get here, everything's ready, everything's prepared for us. It makes things so much easier, and it allows us to be able to present on October 1st. This is a very early presentation for me, but again, it's a testament to the staff having everything ready for us to get out here and be efficient with our time. So really appreciate that. I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you for saying that. We know what we have with our staff. We're very, very
Very
lucky.
fortunate.
Very lucky to have what we have. So
yeah, we run across some that aren't so
Yeah.
fortunate, but y'all are in great shape.
thanks, Reed.
Again, if y'all have questions after I'm done, please, you've got my contact information. Bonnie has my contact information. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you have questions or concerns.
Thank you.
Appreciate it so much.
Great. Drive careful.
We'll start our staff reports off with our planning deputy town manager, Wes Haskett.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. With respect to September permits, there were a total of 46 permits issued that consisted of 10 zoning permits, 16 building permits, 19 trade permits, and 1 lot disturbance stormwater management permit. The total amount of fees that were collected by the department in September was $11,335.70. With respect to code enforcement in September, there were 2 warning citations mailed for solid waste ordinance violations, and 1 was mailed for a fence height violation. With respect to our comprehensive land use plan, the final draft has been certified by the Division of Coastal Management, and we are just waiting on delivery of the final certified draft, which will be posted on the website once it's received. And lastly, the Town Planning Board will be meeting this month. Last couple months, there has not been a meeting. They will be meeting on October 21st at 5 o'clock here in the Pitt Center. The purpose of the meeting is for the board performing the duties of the Southern Shores Board of Adjustment to hold an evidentiary hearing to consider VA-24-01, a variance application submitted by Anthony Mina to seek relief from Town Code Section 30-96F lots and Town Code Section 36-202D dimensional requirements for the property located at 75 East Dogwood Trail. The board may also consider ZTA-2405, which is a zoning text amendment application submitted by the Town of Southern Shores to amend Town Code Section 36-171 to allow the removal of trees greater than 6 inches in diameter measured at 4.5 feet above the ground within a front, side, or rear yard setback on any unimproved lot in the general commercial district without obtaining a lot disturbance stormwater management permit in emergency situations. Any questions?
Any questions for Wes? Nope. Council? Thank you so much, Wes. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
I know we don't have a monthly report, Chief. Did you want to talk to us anyway?
Sure.
We always like to hear from Chief Cole. Good evening.
Evening, Mayor, members of council. I don't have a report for tonight, but just a couple of things. One, hopefully at the next council meeting, I'll have some good information on possibly another addition to the police department. We're working on it right now, but it's a little premature. We're still down 3. One is baby leave, and we'll find out for sure by the end of this month. I believe it's 12 weeks will be up, and hopefully he'll be returning. Other than that, I really don't have an awful lot unless any of you have questions, concerns.
Any questions for Chief Cole, Council?
Just to let you know too, as far as our brothers and sisters out in the western part of North Carolina, a couple of the agencies are very blessed and fortunate here on the beach to be able to send people. We just do not have the manpower to do that right now, but we're working behind the scenes trying to get some supplies and different things out to the western part. That's all I have.
Thanks so much, Chief.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Chief Limbacher. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. So for the month of September, 1 structure fire, 44 EMS calls this month, 1 accident with injuries, 1 child locked in a vehicle, 1 stalled elevator on Ocean Boulevard, 1 water-related rescue, 1 surf rescue, and 1 watercraft rescue, which was the deployment of our boat for the first time. It was actually a mutual aid to duck. 2 gas leak, 1 electrical, 1 arcing or shorted wire, 1 explosive or bomb removal, one service call, 2 of our beach wheelchair delivery program, 1 of our address sign program, 1 smoke detector service program for our program, 6 public service, 1 authorized burning, 1 odor or smoke, 1 hazmat, 5 alarms for a total of 77 calls for the month of September. That is up at 52 from last year. So that number, I hate to do that all the time because it doesn't mean nothing. They fluctuate over year. Last year was a down year, this year will be up year. So just depends.
Thanks. Can I ask about the explosive device?
Sure. It was just really wound up being a phosphorescent flare. Sometimes the ships, they use them for that. Luckily, we have all that information. I have a book in my car that gives the practice rounds and pictures and things like that. And the police were on scene already. In fact, we were just leaving lunch when they called me. Me and John were at lunch, and it's pretty simple. I actually have a picture of it, but we can't put it up on the screen because I'm not as techie as most people, but I can show it to you. It's a simple little flare, but we did call DOD just to be sure. And the problem with those numbers and all those guys is they're moving around all the time. But luckily, this McKenna, if everybody remembers the last one we had to detonate, he was still there. And I'm getting ready to retire, but I'll give you the new guy's cell phone number. So just keep
Maybe
rolling.
the new guy will answer when you call.
They do answer. They're pretty good about it. I'll give them that. It's just getting to that guy that can
Right.
make the determination. And today it's real simple because you can just text them a picture and they're like, it's nothing, or we'll be down.
Yeah.
So
Very good.
Yep.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Any questions for
questions?
Chief Limbacher, council? Thank you
kind of
so
business-
much.
Kind of business as usual. I feel like sometimes you want to hear more or less, but if it's really something to talk about, I'll offer it up or you can ask a question, but
Mhm.
pretty much usually it's used,
Was the structure
Smooth
fire
sailing.
anything significant? Was it?
no.
Okay.
I mean, if it's really something that's significant that we're talking about, I will definitely bring it up.
Yeah.
A lot of things get classified as a structure fire, which many of you wouldn't classify as a structure fire when you think about it,
Right.
So,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from our town manager, Cliff Ogburn. Good evening, Cliff.
Good evening, everyone. Just on the heels of the audit that was just presented to you, I did want to present the first quarter of fiscal year 25, the quarterly report. Let's see, you gonna, next one? All right, so. Oh, thanks. All right, so what I have done here is attempted to kind of put the audit at a glance and just kind of took snippets of the things that I think were highlighted, that if anyone didn't want to read through that document, they could just see here that the unassigned fund balance, again, $5,514,000, which is 54% of our operating, general fund operating budget. That $5.5 million does include the $3,500,000 policy that you just heard about. Total investments of near $13 million. The property value increased by $23 million, which is just over 1%. You heard that the net position decreased some, but the assets exceeded liabilities by over $26 million. Our tax rate remained the same. That includes the 4 cents for beach nourishment, and then also the 2 MSDs. The 2 pie charts are just to indicate where the money comes from and where the money goes. And you'll see, I think in most municipalities, you'd see that the bulk goes to the public works and infrastructure and public safety, and not uncommon to other towns our size, especially here on the Outer Banks. We get considerable amount of revenue from occupancy sales and land transfer that almost mirrors the ad valorem taxes that we get. Some of the highlights, we did renovations to the Pitt Center, admin and police, 3 new police vehicles, police radio upgrades, significant amount of engineering on the Juniper Trinity Trail Bridge. Of course, we purchased Skyline Drive. We installed a bike path along Ocean Boulevard. Chickhawk Trail got a new sidewalk. Public Works vehicles and then the preliminary work on the bike path from East Dogwood to Hillcrest. And then I think it's always interesting to note the things that affect us and affect us economically. Travel and tourism, obviously, remain steady in fiscal year 2024, but overall the occupancy tax collections increased by 1.51% for us, and we received $31,000 more. General fund sales tax increased by just a little bit, 21,000. And the land transfer started to cool since before the pandemic experience, and our overall land transfer collections decreased by 8%. We received $37,000 less than years previous. Some highlights for the first quarter: we did apply for 3 grants in the first quarter, all of them path related. The Dare County Tourism Board, you approved that grant, that's been submitted. The 2 grants for the Safe Streets and Roads for All, as well as the federal grant there for active transportation infrastructure. Those are both grants that would help us plan out a little more detailed and a little more involved, where we have some connectivity issues that we're not meeting, how we might meet those, and ways to go about designing maybe street widths or bike paths, multi-use paths. I'll say it again, Bonnie got a clean audit. Thank you, Bonnie. She also started the ACH process for our vendors. Instead of writing checks, we can now do it digitally. Wes got y'all got the Camelot land use plan approved. We started some significant street work with pavings. We got 2 new police officers that were continuing to get acclimated in this quarter. Promoted Chris Simpson to sergeant. And then we just got finished installing sand fence from Trout Run to almost Hickory. Okay, so now the boring part. The revenues versus expenditures for the first quarter were $414,000 more money spent than more money taken in. That's not uncommon because taxes are hit, the big revenue months for us are when taxes come in, or the big revenue quarters are second and third quarter. In FY23, we were ahead of revenues by $620,000. FY24, we were ahead by $1 million. Expenditures were ahead by $1 million. And the big difference, and as y'all know, is if you do $1 million project in the first quarter versus it takes a big hit because that's money going out and money not coming in. And that's a big reason, just the timing of when money comes in and money comes out can really make things look different. And then July increase is due to the timing of when we pay the fire department contracts, not just streets. It's also when we get our ad valorem in. We don't have any land transfer that's coming.
Right.
And so that's a lot of the reason why it's hard in the first quarter to really have any concern. Just the revenues year to date for each one of those. Ideally, if you divide simple math, you'd be a little bit higher than that. But again, at 19%, we'd be a little higher. But again, we'll see a big jump in the second and third quarter for the ad valorem taxes. This revenue is taken in by month. If you look at FY24 and 25, the difference there is 25 over 24. I just put FY23 as a reference, but right now we're $384,000 short of where we were this time last year. This is the last 3 years look at this quarter for July, August, and September. If you look at it on this graph, it doesn't appear to have very much significant change at all. Here's the occupancy, sales, and land transfer. You'll see 0 there for the first quarter of land transfer. It's because the receipts are behind from the time they get paid. So, we've got some room to make up here. Sales tax is down, and we'll wait and see, I guess, what land transfer is, but I'm confident we've budgeted expecting that. And again, just a a graph to show the last 3 years of occupancy, sales, and land transfer for this quarter. Again, fairly consistent for each one. You do see the occupancy tax is going down, though. Expenditures, I think we're right, pretty much in line where we should be. You'll see, Ocean Rescue at 66%. That's obviously because of the 3 big months, July, August, and September for Ocean Rescue. We've got, these aren't, yesterday was the end of the quarter, so these numbers aren't exactly where they need to be, but there's only $5,885 that we haven't recorded to show you on this slide. And again, that same look is the revenues. We're down about $1 million less than what we were this time last year. Just another way of looking at the expenditures. Again, there is some fluctuation there, but nothing that jumps out concerning. And here I've shown the expenditures by department. So far, it compares this last year to this year. And again, Public Works, the streets, we had done $1 million worth of street work by this time last year. They haven't paid for it yet this year, and so you'll see that increase. But again, timing is the explanation. Summary, we're 19% of revenues received, or $1.8 million. That's $384,000 behind this time last year. This time last year, we had collected 23.47%, or $2,251,000, and we were $4,000 ahead of the previous year. Expenditures, we've spent 16%, $2.2 million, $983,000 less spent this year than same time last year. And then this time last year, we had spent 27% over the year before, or $3.2 million. Sales, occupancy, and land transfer were behind in September. We're behind this quarter for these total. In September, we were behind in 22, but we were ahead in 21. So I think we'll continue. I don't know where we'll flatten out, but we'll continue to see those decreases. And then the fund balance analysis, this shows that 5.5 million in unassigned, but if you subtract out the 3,500,000, we've got $2 million of spendable fund balance. And this slide is almost exactly the same one as it was last year, because depending on when the bids start coming in for the bridge and the town hall remodel, we may have some tough decisions to make. And also, I mean, obviously, stormwater has kind of jumped to the front again, and I think that's something we need to consider moving forward. Other goals that we want to accomplish next quarter, we hope to have the Trinity Trail Bridge under contract, the town hall renovations under contract. We've got 25% of our digital scannings done. We hope to make significant strides there. Hope for folks to be able to start paying for anything town-related with credit card online. Future police officer on board is a goal. The cameras, hopefully you'll approve of those tonight. And we've got some beach grass that we'll start planting. Just continue to consider what uses we may have for 13 Skyline. So we hope to show significant improvement in the cemetery renovations. Obviously, we're going to get the commercial enhancement corridor committee going. Continuing to look at stormwater, and here in a couple of weeks, we have a cybersecurity the response team that's coming to see how hackable we are, or hopefully are not. And that is that budget update.
Thanks.
Any questions?
Can we get a copy of this?
Yes, ma'am.
This is great. It's a great summary.
Wonderful.
Love the slides. I have a random question. Do we have any, and this is not related to town expenditures or anything like that, but I keep getting asked about mosquito control, which is a Dare County responsibility. Do we have any idea what the status of the Dare County mosquito control program currently is?
Just based on what I hear at my house, they're steady running.
Yeah, they're still
But I don't know, I don't have a schedule or, if it's changed or if they're funded at the same level, but it
Okay.
just anecdotally, it seems like they're pretty aggressive. But I can get that information.
Yeah, I should have asked you ahead of time, sorry. I just get people telling me they haven't heard the truck lately in town. I don't know what y'all are getting, but
I hear it. You should hear it every week.
you're hearing, I was hearing it every week for a
Every
while
week,
now.
yeah.
Now I'm not
12,
hearing it. So
15,
anyway,
10:30 at night.
maybe I'm sleeping better, who knows? Anyway. Thank you. Any questions, council, for Cliff? I'm
Good
sorry,
summary. Thanks.
It was a great summary.
Thank you.
appreciate it. Philip, anything for us tonight?
Nope.
Good to
Good to
see
be
you.
with
Thank
you
for-
guys.
Thank you for being here. All right, we'll move along to general public comment. No one signed up?
There is
Okay.
one person who is being allowed to present a statement, and I'll give you guys some information about that. Anthony Mina of 75 East Dogwood Trail. He is being allowed to have his statement read into the record because he is currently banned from town property for 30 days. Mr. Mina has also filed a pro se lawsuit against the town and some town employees in federal court. Here's his statement. Dear Southern Shores town and property owners, I regret to inform you that Southern Shores illegally adopted zoning amendments on August 3rd, 2021 and June 6, 2023 after failing to notify elected property owners pursuant to Town Code 36-414B, which requires posted notice at affected properties. Instead of correcting the problem, Wes Haskett and Cliff Ogburn worked together on an email dated May 21st, 2024 to me and Police Chief Cole, claiming they had a legal basis to amend the zoning code on June 6, 2023 by removing Town Code notification requirement 36-414B. The email dated May 21st, 2024 violates North Carolina law governing false reports to law enforcement agencies or officers. Despite the legal wrongdoing being proven to Cliff Ogburn and Wes Haskett, the town has spent more than $5,000 on Philip Hornthal services specifically for enforcing the illegally adopted zoning codes. Southern Shores is aware that taking the right to subdivide property downloads property and reduces the property's value according to licensed realtors. To date, Southern Shores has not notified Dare County Tax Department that they have downzoned Southern Shores properties to a less valuable property subject to property taxes, making Southern Shores in violation of theft by deception laws using silence to defraud. I sincerely apologize to Southern Shores property owners for the embarrassment the town is going to be subjected to for the continued adherence to illegally adopted zoning codes when the only thing Southern Shores is legally in a position to do is remedy their wrongdoing by vacating the illegally adopted zoning codes. I've done everything in my power to discreetly help Southern Shores correct their wrongdoing, including reminding Philip Hornthal of these problems prior to the September 3rd, 2023 town meeting. At the time, Southern Shores has been named in a federal civil rights conspiracy lawsuit for their crimes against my family, and I wanted other Southern Shores property owners to be aware that they too may have had their due process constitutional rights violated by Southern Shores illegally adopted zoning codes. I wanted to assure Southern Shores property owners that my passion for work is in the home improvement field and not in legal work, politics, and activism. Exposing government corruption is counterproductive to the professionalism I like to treat my customers with and to be known for providing. When Southern Shores government complies with their own ethics policy, local, state, and federal laws, my legal actions I've been forced to engage in or suffer legal and financial hardships will immediately come to an end. I strongly suggest Southern Shores property owners encourage Southern Shores Town Council and government to comply with all applicable laws in their own ethics policy, which can be found online at www.savesouthernshores.com. Thank you for your time. P.S. Note that Cliff Ogburn's claims that I am a safety concern or what psychologists call projection, where something unconsciously displaces their negative attributes on another person. Cliff Ogburn is the author of the email with the false report to Chief Cole that Wes Haskett sent, and Cliff Ogburn, who is ultimately responsible for property owners being defrauded with illegally adopted amendments. Thank you, Anthony Mina. P.S. Real cops that take upholding the law more seriously than small town politics would arrest Cliff Ogburn at the town meeting for witness intimidation and criminal conspiracy. That is the end of the statement.
Thank you, Philip. Appreciate that. Next, council, we have old business, which is the Southern Shores Entry Corridor Enhancement Committee appointments. This is something that we talked about at the last two meetings. Definitely the last meeting. And I believe we're ready to provide a list of potential appointments for consideration for council. Mayor Pro Tem, did you want to make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. We've canvassed our community. Is this a complete list? 7 names? All right. So we paired off and talked to some people in town that we thought represented, and the list as follows is the mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Planning Director Wes Haskett, Michael Zahner, Matt Price, Jim Gould, and Linda Lobby. I would like to make a motion to nominate these people to the Entry Corridor Enhancement Committee.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Would any council member like to do any discussion concerning?
Just like to thank him for wanting to serve.
Yeah, the few I've talked to personally were pretty
Yeah.
excited, and I think
I think
they're
that's
the same way.
Looks like a good group.
A lot of
Good.
experience, so.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Humor.
No, it should be a good exercise. I'm looking forward to it. Cliff, our next item is new business, channel marker maintenance agreement, and council, that's on page 6 of your books.
Yeah, thank you. This channel marker maintenance agreement is between three parties, between the town, the Southern Shore Civic Association, and the Martins Point Homeowners Association. We've had a unsigned or unofficial agreement for the last many years that the towns, the three parties have operated under. Each year, each entity would give $400 to the SSCA. They would hold it, and then the boat club primarily would do any necessary repairs. Very little, minimal cost. In fact, when we got the permit to relocate the channel markers to deeper water to avoid dredging, there was enough money left in that account to cover that entire expense. So over the years, it's not been very expensive, but the MOU spells out the process for minor repairs to the existing private aids to navigation. There's one thing I'd like to ask you to add, and another thing I need to make sure is clear. The MOU references Coast Guard Form 2554. That's kind of the as-built for the service, for the channel markers, for the Coast Guard to be able to plot those and advertise those. You know, that form has to indicate exactly where they are. And over the years, it also indicates the characteristic of them, and who owns them, who's responsible. With the boat club no longer being in existence, there's some names that have changed, and that form's not up to date. After this, what we're asking is after each party sign this MOA, then that form will be updated and referenced to this MOA. So that has not been done, but it is being proposed to be done. Let's see, the purpose again is just to officially lay out the process. If you'll look at the 7th whereas, again, that is the part where it says TBD, whereas an updated CG 2554 private aids to navigation application dated to be determined will be attached to this MOA. And whereas number 10, I just wanted to indicate that each of the parties to this MOA had previously voluntarily contributed funds for the purpose of maintaining these private aids. That has been $400. That no longer will occur. We'll just pay an invoice. We'll keep our money and we'll pay it when it's necessary. Number 1 under each of the parties on page 9, it lists out the responsibilities. The town will be responsible for obtaining and maintaining any necessary permits. We did that permit for relocating the channel markers, and we should be able to keep that, extend that permit open. At least that's what we'll try to do. And where I would like to add under item 2, it says, each of the parties upon invoice from the TOS shall pay its respective 1/3 of an approved expense incurred in association with work described in this MOA. I'd like to include invoices shall be paid within 14 days of notice. So that's, if you all agree, then I'd ask you to approve a motion to allow me to, wait a minute, is it me or is it the mayor? I apologize. Authorize the mayor to sign this MOA with the addition.
Who does this work? Is it a marine company?
Yeah,
that does the work?
It's harder and harder to get it done by volunteers, but what I propose to do is to find somebody that we can kind of put on a retainer, a company with a barge that can go out when we need them to if we can't get a volunteer to fix.
Okay.
If they have to straighten it, probably have to get a contractor. If it's simply replacing a day board or changing out a bulb, we may be able to get a volunteer to do it.
Not town employees.
No,
Okay.
we would have to take a John boat and a ladder.
I
We're
know.
not doing that.
Oh, I know, yeah. I've run into them.
Any other follow-up questions for Cliff concerning this MOA? Council? Okay, in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the MOA contingent upon the successful completion of the new CG 2554 private aids navigation application as amended, or as recommended to be amended by the town manager. That's my motion. Is there a second? Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. We are ready to go with our MOA. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is new business, page 11. And that's why I think we got these maps.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so council, page 11 in your books and the colorful maps provided by the town manager.
So what we're asking with this agenda item is for you all to award the bid for the NC-12 path construction. This is the path with, we got money from the tourism board to keep extending, making with the goal of having paths on both sides. This would take the path from East Dogwood to Hickory on the west side. You'll see in this, the map that I gave you, so much stuff going on with paths, I thought I'd put this map out here. You'll see in the red, that's that application that we have in now. That will be awarded sometime, hopefully sometime soon. That would take the path from Hickory to Hillcrest. The green is the other part that we're asking here. The green is funding to replace the asphalt that's deteriorated. You can see a picture. That's just one location of what the asphalt looks like. We're going to ask you to fund that project from 3rd to 5th Avenue to completely remove that asphalt and replace it with concrete. And then the blue line shows the project that we're asking you to award now, again, from East Dogwood to Hickory. So we opened bids last week. We got 3 bids. The low bid was from H&H Contracting of $452,583.21. That's for, there's 2 projects here. There were the $313,000 for the new construction, $138,000 for the replacement. We're short with the money that we budgeted. We're under on the 3rd to 5th Avenue. We're over on the new. So we combine those 2 together, we're still $12,183 short, but we can absorb that in our street maintenance budget. So what we're asking for is for y'all to award a contract of $313,914.34 to H&H Contracting for the construction and repairs of multi-use path along NC-12.
Is it 313, 914, or 915?
It is 313, 915, 34.
915, okay. Yeah, that's what it says on the bid. Okay.
And just to be clear, because you gave us this nice color-coded map. So the blue is the new section that we will be making with this bid, if we award this bid.
Correct.
And the green is what we're talking about with the replacement?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
That's in our budget,
we're taking it out of our budget.
taking it out of our budget.
Yeah.
It was budgeted,
It's
right?
in-
It was,
It was
yeah,
already been approved.
I don't need a budget amendment for this.
got it.
No
I'll
new
make
money.
Okay.
a motion to authorize the town manager to enter contract with H&H Land Development for multi-use path repair and new sidewalk on west side of Duck Road as stated.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, questions for Cliff or?
Just one observation. Within these contracts, I mean, I ride a lot of the multi-use paths on a bicycle. And most of that asphalt where it's heaved up is usually roots that go underneath. Is there any consideration of actually cutting back some of the vegetation along the path so you don't have the roots and the, shooting out underneath, and therefore the path will actually last a lot longer?
And that's one of the reasons we are switching to concrete, because you
Okay.
don't have that impact as much, and it allows us to kind of minimize doing that, cutting trees
Yeah,
as
I
much
mean,
as we can.
A lot of
I mean, we
times,
still got to limb them up, but
yeah,
we're still going to have roots.
great, thank you.
It's easier to spot repair as well. So if
Yeah,
you-
the
So
concrete.
you do get heaving, you can cut out a small section. Fix it.
Which you can see places where we've
Very
already done
nice.
that, yeah, around town, yeah. Okay,
You can see it on Trinity.
yeah, there you go. Any other questions or discussion? We have a motion, we have a second. I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Great, and thank you for the map. That made it easier for me. Next is the budget amendment for security camera software replacement / upgrade, page 13 in your book, council.
So we are asking for a budget amendment for this agenda item. We are recommending that we completely replace our camera system. We've had it for quite a while now. When we try to, it's becoming, like most software, it's becoming unsupported. It's becoming difficult to continue its use. When we try to add a camera to the network that we have, there's just not enough power there. And so if somebody wanted to pull up on their monitor, the cameras, they can't do it because they can only hold so much. And so we feel like it's time that we made this adjustment. The chief and I have met with 2 individuals. We're going to meet again with another to go through a demo. We feel pretty confident that we can not only replace, we might be able to enhance by adding additional cameras throughout the facility. This is in the Pitt Center, the town hall, as well as the police department. And it's just time for us to do this. So we're asking to be able to, a budget amendment from the unassigned fund balance of $35,000, not to, the cost will not exceed $35,000.
And if we do decide to do the proposed town hall improvements, doing this work is not going to be
Correct. It will
in
not.
conflict with,
No, ma'am.
okay,
Yeah, we actually we had a pre-bid meeting for the town hall work, and we talked about making sure that if we were to do this, the timing of it wouldn't be in each other's way.
gotcha, okay. Very good. Any questions for Cliff concerning upgrades to security cameras that are out of date and no longer supported and so on and so forth? And I assume we're going to get better coverage, right, chief?
Yeah, I'm hoping, this really should have been done. But yeah, it's well.
Okay,
Yeah, the technology now with the point and zoom, and
yeah, okay,
it's good.
very good.
Need a motion?
Need a motion, yes.
I move that we approve the fund balance, $35,000 to fund the replacement of the cameras and the software as proposed.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Very good. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, council, is another general public comment period. Would anyone like to speak? I don't think anyone's, here we go.
Goes.
Very good.
I didn't say what, I just wanted to
Good
say-
evening, sir. How are you?
Hi, Len Schmitz, 184 Waxmill Trail. Just wanted to say thank you for the council to approving the budget amendment for the sand fence, which has already been put up. And I went out there the other day and it's already collecting sand. So thank you for approving that. And still haven't fixed the potholes on East Dogwood by Holly. They're not really potholes, but you can't go more than 5 miles an hour going east.
It's a natural speed bump. Yes, sir. Thank you, Len. Anyone else? Okay. So it's time for council business. Mark, would you like to start us off?
Sure, be happy to. Tour board, the tour board is busy, as you can imagine. And as you might have read in the Outer Banks Voice and some other publications in the county, that revenues in July were not that great, but it had to do with the calendar and having only 4 Saturdays instead of 5 Saturdays versus last year. But still, when you put both June and July together, because June was way over, it's still down 9%. Collections are for the occupancy tax, and it's down 7.2 year to date. It seems that one area is really struggling versus last year, and it's the Airbnb part. So there's a lot of movement in that area, both nationally and locally as well, the way people use Airbnbs. So that part is down, and I can assure you the tour board is doing everything they know how to do, and the management over there to encourage tourism especially into the fall and the shoulder season and into the wintertime for those short visits, which are really quite profitable for people here in the county and obviously for the tax as well. Meals tax is a little bit better story. It's a little bit over last year. The good news is they're eating when they're here. We just need more of them to be here. So it's that simple. So it's kind of, but there's been a lot of surprises this year. There's some things that are doing better than others that we didn't think that. Budget wise, it's actually the tour board is actually doing better than we thought we would at this time, because we always thought this would be a settling year. Get a base year that we can really go forward, because the previous 3 years were anomalies without question during COVID. And so I think we're all still feeling the effects of that. We had a grant committee meeting and a regular tour board meeting, and we had almost for events, and we had almost $400,000 worth of applications, 26 applications that we went through, which totaled almost $400,000 for grants. And that's the first round. There's 2 rounds, and these are the event grants, not the sidewalks or anything like that. We approved $175,000 grants of $175,000, thinking that through the second part, our usually we earn about and we give out about $400,000 to $425,000 a year in grants for events here, which draws the visitors here. So it's looking good. I mean, the money I think is well spent for what we get in from the visitors. So it helps the Lord, helps everybody here. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mark.
You bet.
Rob?
About 2 weeks ago, there was a Current TV meeting. Both the mayor and I actually attended the Blue Zone presentation down at Jeanette's Pier. And I think I asked the folks on Current TV if they could actually post a video, which I think they did, on the whole notion of blue zones in Dare County. For those of you who have not looked at anything about blue zones, there's a Netflix series. I think it's a 3-part series that you can look at, and the whole county is trying to go to that area. It's going to have had a lot of support from the communities in the county and the nonprofit sector. And it has implications for Southern Shores, especially probably in terms of infrastructure and connecting all of the commercial area from, so people can actually get there without driving a car. whether it be a multi-use path, a golf cart, or a bicycle, or whatever else. So that has implications for what's coming up. Also, I asked them to, when Jeff Schwarzenberg was here and he talked about Outer Banks Promise, have Current TV post that up there. So that's another avenue to get the word out about that. And then lastly, the idea that I brought up with the Current TV folks is, and all the other towns, representatives from the towns, is possibly having an Outer Banks Film Festival. And that is starting to gain traction. And it's probably going to get brought up with Bobby Outen down at the county level to get support. And it's a question of whether we launch off on our own or partner with somebody else. But that you're probably going to hear more and more about. And we may even have, financial prizes, and the source of that money may be an issue, but we'll see. All right, thank you. That's it.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Paul?
Nothing really to report, but I do want to commend Bonnie and other town staff for, I just stole Matt's thunder here.
No, it's all right.
We jointly want to thank you all for the hard work in pulling together that audit.
Yeah.
That's hundreds of hours of work, and to get a clean audit is a very good thing. So thank you.
Indeed. Matt?
I want to thank you all for helping put together this entry corridor enhancement committee. Hopefully some positive comes from it. And thanks again to Bonnie and staff for an excellent audit report. 5th year, 6th year I've been on the council, and it's always been stellar and simple. And
Yeah.
have it here first quarter after the fiscal year ends. That's pretty impressive. And just keep in mind, got some family out in Western Carolina, haven't made it back yet. Just keep in mind folks out there.
Very good. Thanks for
Absolutely.
saying that. Absolutely. This is as regards to next meeting. In anticipation of receiving 3 bids as required by the North Carolina General Statutes at the bid opening, which is scheduled for 11 a.m. on Friday, October 4th, that's this coming Friday. We need to schedule a special meeting for Thursday, October 10 at 9 a.m. The only item on the agenda that day will be the consideration of awarding a bid for the construction of the new bridge to replace the culvert at Juniper and Trinity Trail. Our CAMA permit, issued with guidance from the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission, places a moratorium on in-water work from February 15 to September 30. We have to go in the water to get the old pipe out. That's the in the water part of this job. We are making an effort to initiate this project so that we can have the work required to take place in the canal completed before February 15th. So in recognition of that, sorry for reading, I need a motion to adjourn this meeting and reconvene October 10 at 9 a.m. for a special meeting here at the Pitt Center.
So moved.
So moved?
Second.
Second? Any questions or discussion? Great. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you, council. We're adjourned.
9 a.m.
Woo-hoo.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.